Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing the very famous, it's not famous but it is kind of going all around on YouTube right now, and it is the one dip makeup challenge. If you don't know what it is, then basically you just get one dip of any product that you're using. If it's a foundation, then one pump. If it's a blush, then you can dip your brush into it only once, and once the brush leaves the pan, you can't dip back in. So I think it's a very fun challenge. I've seen all the videos on YouTube and I love it and I wanted to try it out. So that's what we're doing today. But before we get started, I want to address this situation happening on my neck. It's not what it looks like, okay? I don't know how I got it, but I think my mom says some insect must have bitten me when I was sitting in the balcony. But yeah, it looks like a rash and it's been there since 3 days. I've applied ice cubes to it, I've applied coconut oil to it, but it's not going. So let me know if you know any remedy. It's like a rash an insect has given, or I don't know, but yeah. Okay, so let's start with primer. I'm going to use my favorite Colorbar Perfect Match Primer. I can only squeeze it once and whatever comes out I have to use only that much. So I'm gonna try and do a big squeeze. Okay. That's it. Oh, this is too little for me. My face is pretty big, so but I'm just going to focus it on my cheeks, nose, forehead. I love this primer because it's very gel-like and it makes your skin smooth. And even though I used a very little amount, but I think it is enough for my face. Okay, nice smooth base done. Okay, so moving on to foundation, I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty Filter foundation, the high coverage foundation, because as you know it is super full coverage, so even if I get a little pump of it, it will be enough. But the thing is that this shade Creme Brulee is not my perfect shade, so it is going to be a bit lighter for me, but it has great coverage and I need coverage, so that's what we're going to use. So I'm just going to do one pump. Whoa, okay, is that a part of the pump? I think it is, right? So that's honestly more than I need. So I'm just going to dot this all over my face. I clearly don't need this much. Once we look like a cute Dalmatian, I'm going to blend it out with a damp beauty blender. Okay, so one layer is done and I still have a lot of foundation left. So this is the entire opposite of what this challenge is supposed to be. But I'm going to do a second layer because I think I need some coverage over here and here. So let's use it. Okay, so foundation is on 2 layers and it is a very pretty foundation. It does look pretty, but I know I look like a ghost because it's not my exact shade. By the way, my thumb is hurting so much today. You know how you cut your nails sometime and you cut it a bit too much? So I can literally see my skin, like red skin under my nail, and it hurts every time. So that sucks. Okay, so moving on to concealer, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. Look at the size of it. First of all, it looks like a literal foundation, but this is super blendable and creamy, so I think a little will go a long way. I'm just going to try and pick up as much product as I can, and then I can use only this wand and I can't dip back in. So this concealer is actually very creamy and blendable, so that's why I'm using this. By the way, I'm so tempted to use my concealer on these bruises or rashes or whatever inside bite I have, but I'm not going to conceal it and worsen the situation. So okay, so concealer is done and this concealer is very hydrating, so it's perfect for dry skinned beauties. But anyway, let's move on to powder. I'm going to use my favorite Maybelline Fit Me in the shade Light. This powder has a little coverage to it, so it will darken the complexion. As you know, we are looking extra pale and this is a darker powder, so it will fix that hopefully. I'm going to take some out on the back of the lid, and I can only dip my beauty blender into this once. So I'm going to dip it in and swirl it around so that it can pick as much powder as it can. Oh, whoa, it's falling all over my bed. Okay. Anyway, let's just pat it all over our face. I picked too much because I could only dip into it once, so that's why it's looking funny. Do you see how instantly it has darkened my complexion and now it looks very much better than when I had just applied foundation? This powder always saves me when I have a lighter foundation or concealer, so I love this powder. Okay, so powder is done. Let's move on to our eyes and then we'll come back to the face. So for eyes, I picked up the most pigmented palette that I have in my collection, and it is the Makeup Revolution Soph palette. And I might dip into this Morphe 35F palette for a shimmery shade. By the way, I have super clean brushes today. I recently washed them and I don't feel like using them, you know. I feel like they should be like this forever. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go in with this shade, this one, called Cookie Dough, and I can only dip into it once. So let's just swirl a brush into it, tap it off a little bit. And this is all that I can use on both of my eyes, so I'm going to add it in my crease. I'm going to go very gently, otherwise it will be super pigmented and patchy at one place. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with this shade. It's called Cheesecake. And with this pointed brush, I'm just going to swirl it once, a lot of fallout, and then I'm going to blend it all over my eye because I honestly have no clue what I'm doing. Okay, so that's a very subtle eyeshadow look, but I think what will fix it is just some shimmery shade. I'm going to dip into this brown shimmery delicious shade, and I'm going to use my finger for this because I feel like your finger will pick up the most amount of product. So I'm just going to swirl my finger in. That's a lot of product. Okay, so I'm actually quite okay with the eyeshadow look. I thought I'm going to do super bad, but it is not as disappointing as I thought it would be. It's not perfect and not perfectly blended, but we have to go with it. Okay, so let's move on to eyeliner. For that, I'm going to be using the K-Beauty eyeliner in the shade Grunge Raisin. And once you take the wand out, this is all that you can use on both of your eyelids. So I think I'm going to do one side with this side, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the next. Okay, not that bad. Now let's move on to mascara. For mascara, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara because this is the only mascara that I have which is new and it's good. Rest all of them are super old and I think I should get rid of them, but let's start. I'm just going to make sure that the wand is nicely coated with lots of mascara, enough for both my eyes. With mascara also, I'm going to use one side of the wand for one eyelid and then I'm going to flip it over and use it on my other eyelid. I love packing on mascara and going back into the bottle a lot of times and like doing 2-3 layers to build up the lashes, but not today. Can you imagine I have to use the same one for my lower lashes as well? Okay, not happy with my mascara. I like to pack on my mascara, give it lots of volume, and for my lower lashes I feel like it did nothing. Oh, I completely forgot to do Kajal. So for Kajal we can only do one swipe. So I'm going to use the Sugar Kohl of Honor Intense Kajal just because it is super duper jet black and pigmented. So I can just do one swipe, which is going to be difficult because I like to go over it, but let's go. That did nothing. Anyway, we are done with the eyes and I like the eyeshadow. I don't like the mascara. Eyeliner is also fine and Kajal is not even there. So okay, let's move on to bronzer. For bronzer, I'm going to be using the Hoola by Benefit because it is super duper pigmented. So I'm going to use this brush and I'm just going to swirl it into the bronzer and try and pick up as much bronzer as I can. Tap off the excess, and this is all that I can use on my cheeks, on my nose, anywhere. So wow, I like to dip into my bronzer 10 times. I feel like I love bronzing my forehead and my cheeks, and my nose. I love contouring my nose. I feel like I'm not bronzed enough. It's like the lightest amount of layer of bronzer, but anyway, that's that. Okay, so let's move on to blush. I'm going to use the Sugar Cosmetics mini blush in the shade Mauve Marble just because it is super duper pigmented. Sugar blushes are super duper pigmented. I say super duper way too many times. I should stop. I'm gonna try and say super duper only once every video. So yeah, this is very pigmented. It's a very, I just want to say super duper. It's a very pigmented blush, so I'm just going to dip my brush into it once. I feel like this is also going to be way too much. and with a very light hand I'm just going to start stamping it on my cheeks. I'm going to go in with my beauty blender over the blush just to pick up the excess amount. This challenge is quite a challenge, but let's move on to highlighter. So for today's look, I'm going to be using the BECCA Champagne Pop just because I bought it recently and it is super duper buttery, so it will blend out very nicely. And I recently bought this Real Techniques highlighter brush for highlighting because I feel like fan brush doesn't work at all. So let's use this. Swirl your brush into it nicely. Okay. This is all that we can use. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with a setting spray. So this is the Blue Heaven Makeup Fixer, which I don't like, but because we are going to use only one spray, I think it won't matter. And I'm going to do a test spray. Did you see that? It squirts out. Okay. I did get it on half side. Okay, 1 second. Okay, it did not touch this side of my face at all. Anyway, let's move on to the last step, and it is our lipstick. So I'm going to be using the NYX Intense Butter Gloss in the shade Chocolate Apple. This lipstick is matching my top and it's a very glossy look because it's a lip gloss. Okay guys, so this is the final look of the one tip makeup challenge. This video just goes to show you if we are using more product than we should, and I feel like for most of the things we can go with one tip, but I feel like for some things I'm definitely missing out, such as bronzer. As you can see, I'm looking super pale, but if I could use bronzer as much as I could, you know, look bronzy and tanned, and I love that. And mascara, I feel like mascara is also not that good, and Kajal was so nothing. It was just one swipe and nothing got on. So those, apart from those three things, I feel like the rest of the things worked well with just one tip. But that completes this video. This challenge is super interesting and it was fun for me to try it out and make the products work. So if you also enjoyed, then give me a thumbs up and let me know which other makeup challenge I should try. So yeah, give me a thumbs up, leave me a nice comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.